Vanakkam, Namaste, and blessings to everyone across the globe. This is Priestess Vairavi Balasubramaniam, PhD. Today I'm going to be speaking to you about the energies of the Taurus full moon. Basically, full moons occur whenever the sun and the moon are opposed to each other in the skies. In this case, the sun was at 14 degrees Scorpio and the moon was at 14 degrees Taurus. This exact opposition took place at 6:23 in the morning, November 7th, 2014, at GMT +8, which is my time zone. Now, let me first talk a little bit about the energies of Taurus and Scorpio and what they teach us from a spiritual perspective. Taurus and Scorpio ultimately teach us about the nature of attachment and detachment. We come in and go in cycles of birth, life, and death, and rebirth, and so on and so forth, over and over and over again. So the entire business of what we understand as human existence takes place in between the limits of birth and death. And in this time, many great thinkers, philosophers, sages, mystics, priests, priestesses have taught us ways of living which actually allow us to recognize the fact that our existence in material form is finite, it is impermanent, it is transitory, it is fleeting. Now, most of the philosophies and spiritual understandings which I enjoy working with are ones which recognize this fact, but also understand that our time on this planet can also be one that is full of joy, full of blessings, full of pleasure, full of happiness. And somewhere in between there is, as Gautama Buddha has put it, a middle path or a middle way to understand how both these truths can coexist side by side. Finding that balance is very much what the Taurus Scorpio opposition teaches us and asks us to discover within ourselves. That we can truly be in the moment, enjoying what we enjoy in the world, whether it's a belief system, whether it's a love affair, whether it's the job that you do, whether it's your appearance, but to understand that all of these beings, people, relationships, material objects are essentially, at the end of the day, transitory. They're fleeting. So go forward in the world. Allow yourself to enjoy what life can offer you, but know that nothing lasts forever and that this is not a bad thing. Just as nature has her seasons of change, we too have seasons of birth, life, death, and so on and so forth. So at the highest level, or the truest level, or the deepest level, whichever way you want to call it, this is the lesson that Taurus and Scorpio teach us through their dance during this full moon. In terms of a larger cycle of events, you will also notice that some of the seeds which you planted during the Taurus new moon on April 29, 2014 will be blossoming now. You will be able to see the outcomes of whatever intentions or whatever situations or circumstances you faced in the last week of April of this year. Remember that we were strongly feeling the effects of the Grand Cardinal Cross at that time. So if you want a concrete understanding of the timeline that this eclipse speaks to. Now, but I also want to point out that there was in fact a new moon at this exact degree, that is 14 degree Taurus in the year 2000, at May 4th, 2000. So those of you who can remember that time, try to see and understand how this full moon may be also bringing back dynamics or intentions or situations or circumstances, even people or relationships that you made some critical decision about in May 2000, in the first week of May. So that gives you a sense of timing and how this eclipse fits into with the season of change and the cycles of time as shown in the heavens and the earth. Now, let me tell you about some of the astrological alignments that surround this full moon. It's not been an easy full moon because we've had what I call the great goddess fire trine, which is basically a very powerful trine between Vesta, Juno, Uranus retrograde, and at some point Vesta gets replaced by Ceres. And it's a fire trine which I've written about, which I've explained, that truly heightens our sense of embodying and working with the energies of the divine feminine till the end of this year and for most of 2015. So that's going on right now. But that's not all. We've also got 3 yods in the sky, in addition to this sun-moon opposition, which basically amplify and intensify the energies we already feel from it. One yod is between the north node and Vesta apexing at the moon. Another yod is between Chiron, Pluto, Mars apexing in Juno. And the third yod, whilst it's like 1 degree off from being a proper yod, though I feel most of us will feel it anyway, that is between the moon, Chiron apexing at the north node. All of these are very, very major players. Also consider that the sun is in a loose stellium, which means a group of planetary objects that act as one, with Pallas Athena in Scorpio, with Venus in Scorpio, with Saturn in Scorpio. So there's already a lot of energy that's in that basic Sun Moon opposition as well. And if I look at the overall shape of the chart, what I see is that we have this. It's almost like all of this energy points towards Juno. And I know that Juno is often referred to as the soulmate asteroid or the goddess asteroid of marriage, but really, if you look at the history, she is a lot more than that. She is even invoked in matters of defense. She's invoked in matters of birth. She is invoked in liminal times where, a person goes from one cycle of life or one state of being to another state of being. She is the goddess of so many other things. So I did a little bit of digging, and I find that my understanding of her has transformed. I see her as the representation of the flow of the feminine, whether you call it Ashira, Shakti, Gaia, Shekinah. Basically, that represents the flow of she, so to speak. And this energy is getting so strongly focused upon at this time. And very often, the people who bring us to a deeper understanding of this energy are those whom we call soulmates, not necessarily romantic or sexual partners, but people who come into our lives and open us in ways that we would not necessarily have been able to open without their presence. So with all of this energy focused on the moon and on Juno, and in fact everything connecting back to Juno in a kind of powerful configuration, it's really a time where you need to look back at your past and make peace with it. Let go of what you need to let go. Know that you or whoever else in a situation which may be causing you hurt at this time may have outgrown that situation, that your needs have evolved, no matter what that situation has been. Let it go and allow yourself to open yourself to new opportunities, energies, possibilities, and people that are basically waiting to enter your life. So much of this energy will be found in the way we deal with our sacral chakras. Juno is obviously related to the sacral in the position of Leo, because Leo relates exactly to that energy. So we've got a lot of focus and a lot of emphasis there. Rituals, especially healings at this time, to strengthen one's sense of sacral energy, to strengthen one's reproductive organs and the sacral chakra in general, will be particularly beneficial. Now, another thing that I need to say is that, or rather that I want to say, is that Taurus is also associated with the neck and its vertebrae, and with the ability that we have to use our voice to basically express our will, ourselves, our authenticity, our ideas in the world. It's an excellent time to communicate your truth in a way that honors heart, mind, sacral, womb, base, solar plexus, every part of yourself. Bring it all together, open your mouth and speak. And sometimes through that act of speaking, even if it's, through writing, even if it's just frantically writing down your feelings in a journal, you'll find a lot of release and a lot of insight through that method at this time. Finally, just a few notes in terms of asteroids. There are several major conjunctions that the Sun makes at this time. You've got asteroid Cassandra, asteroid Deucalion, and a trans-Neptunian object known as Ceto, C-E-T-O. To put all of its energy together, it basically says, with all of the emotions coming through, do your level best to stay afloat. Try not to sink, try not to escape from it. Just kind of be there, allow it to wash over you and see where it takes you. That's what Deucalion tells us. Asteroid Cassandra asks us to speak our truth. It doesn't matter if other people accept it or not. Embody your truth and speak it, because that is who you are. And it doesn't matter if anyone believes it, anyone accepts it, anyone rejects it. Just use this to express you. That's what Cassandra tells us in a condensed nutshell. And finally, trans-Neptunian object Ceto, C-E-T-O, tells us that we're going to be facing a lot of the subconscious quote-unquote monsters that lurk within, which we are afraid of. Our deepest fears come back to haunt us, and they can only haunt us if you let them. Very often, what we fear disappears the moment we actually take a stand, look at the mirror and say, enough. I see what you are. I see who you are, and you are a part of me, and I accept you. And when you confront your fears in that way, well, generally they either dissolve or they try to intensify, but keep at it and generally they dissolve anyway. Once you accept what it is you truly fear, you can work towards it, or rather towards healing it, towards doing something about it. But if you choose to run away at this time from that which you truly fear, I'm afraid the universe is going to basically kind of make sure you have to deal with it. That's what the yods are doing. So go with the flow, and you will find yourself in places, in situations, in energies, in new opportunities which you hadn't expected before. In some ways, this is the time where we see what we did during the Grand Cardinal Cross and whether we truly learned the lessons that it was trying to teach us. As I wrote a few days ago when I was writing about the great goddess Fire Trine, we have finally begun that next chapter I promised you would begin. So this is the time where we see which ships have set sail and which have refused to leave the harbor, and which ships we've decided we're going to go on in the next exciting chapter of our lives. Remember that we will have, very appropriately, a new moon in Sagittarius coming in 2 weeks' time. So this is a time where we are really going to set sail and reach for the next step in our evolution, because that time for the next chapter has truly and officially begun. Thank you very much for your time and your patience, and I hope this video has helped you understand some of the energies and the intensity of this particular full moon.